I am going to spill all the tea. This video is all about my experience at Exsence this year. It was my first time to go and it was an amazing experience. It was mind-blowing, let me tell you, and I'm going to tell you everything in this video, all things that I've tried, brands, fragrances, even fragrances that are not yet on the market that you should definitely try once they are released. I have a lot to talk about, so it's going to be a long video. Grab yourself something to eat or to drink and buckle up. And for those who don't know what Exsence is, it's an exhibition that takes place yearly here in Milan, and it's all about perfume. So all the brands that are well known and also new brands all take part at that exhibition, and it is the event to go to if you love perfumes. It was my dream to go. Last year I couldn't because I broke my foot, but this year I did it and it was such an amazing experience. So many brands to talk about, so many fragrances. I don't know where to begin. And let me start by saying that I practically ignored all the big brands, not all of them, but most of them. So when you enter, mostly the first brands that you see are brands that are Italian and are quite hyped. So you have Tiziana Terenzi, you have the House of Oud, you have Gritty, these brands. And I have to tell you, I ignored them all. And it's not because there is something wrong with the brands, it's because everyone was attracted to these and there was a huge amount of people in front of them. I wanted to go and experience new brands, something that I never tested before. I want to discover more. And to give you an idea about what I'm going to talk about, this is all samples and blotters and everything. I wanted to do this video as soon as possible so I can still smell these fragrances. And I have a lot of videos where the founders actually personally talk about their brands and also the fragrances. Everything is on Instagram, so definitely follow me there. Let's start with best discoveries when it comes to brand in general. There are a lot. Let's start with one that is inspired by Africa. I have two actually. Let's start with this one, which really attracted me because the whole aesthetic of the brand, I will leave here a picture of the stand. It's just beautiful. It's just very tasteful, simple and chic. The name of the brand comes from a natural reserve in Senegal where the grandfather of one of the co-founders moved during the 30s. And the whole idea behind the brand is to represent Africa, the nature of Africa, and their fragrances are all made of African ingredients. So you have fragrances that are inspired by the savannah, by the flowers of the desert, different African themes. This brand is quite a new one because it was released only last year. They have 4 fragrances and 2 that I got a chance to test that will be released in the summer. I have actually a video where the co-founder of the brand talks about the brand and the inspiration and the 2 new releases on my Instagram account, so definitely follow me there for more exclusive content. From the 4 fragrances that were available, I fall in love with Ubi Luminous, which is inspired by the savannah. It is such a bright, fresh cologne-like scent with a lot of orange blossom. It's a very simple, fresh summer fragrance and I fell in love with it, so I decided to buy a full bottle of it. From the 2 new releases, my favorite one is Vanilla Mafunja, which is a great spicy vanilla that is so beautiful and very unique, and I can't wait for it to be released in the summer. And also what I like about this brand in particular is that they give back 5% of their proceedings, net proceedings, to conservation efforts around Africa. So also from that point of view, I really appreciate that brand. The next brand that is also inspired by Africa has a different approach and has a total different story. So the brand that I'm talking about is Asia. This is a brand that is founded by an Eritrean woman that lives in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. They currently have 6 fragrances. All of them are inspired by the volcanic nature of Africa, and every single perfume has actually the name of an a volcanic area, and all of the fragrances really have something African about them. So when I smell them, I can see Africa. So a lot of them have frankincense in them, and my favorite one also has a nice dose of frankincense in it, and it is Gufa. Gufa is this beautiful floral, spicy, very, very warm, ambery fragrance with frankincense. Like, you can smell it here, but it's not smoky, it's more warm, and it reminds me, I don't know why, this fragrance in particular reminds me sometimes when I pass some Sudanese women in particular, I smell something similar to that. Not this fragrance, but they are wearing something that has notes that are in this fragrance. So I love this one. A very, very unique frankincense floral fragrance. It's so beautiful. So this is definitely a brand that I can't wait to test more of. I love the aesthetic. I love the quality. I love the creation. Everything about this brand is 10 out of 10 for me. So very, very happy to have discovered this brand. Let's move to another beautiful discovery, and it is Nectar Olfactive. Oh my god, I love this brand. It's again quite a new brand, inspired by this image of the bee entrapped in this amber resin. This is the inspiration of the brand. Again, the aesthetic of the brand is so beautiful. The bottles are so stunning and their fragrances are amazing. It's definitely one of the best discoveries, like in the top 5. The inspiration gives you an idea about the fragrances because all of them have something of an inspiration of bees, honey. Let's start with Secret du Nil. So this is the fragrance that is inspired by the vegetation around like the Nile River, and it is this citrusy, slightly green honey infused fragrance. To me, it smells like neroli or orange blossom syrup infused with honey, but it's not too sweet. It's quite fresh. A very, very interesting fragrance, I have to say. I can't say that it is my favorite one, but I can see that some people would definitely love it. Let's get to one that is very floral, and it is Etoile. I know how to pronounce them, so sorry. Du Bali. Inspired by the ritual of rain of flowers, I think it was called in Bali, where like they take this bath that gives you good fortune. That is, so this bath emerged in flowers, like so many flowers, and this fragrance is inspired by it. And it is this floral infused with honey fragrance. Mostly what I'm getting here from the florals is the freesia and also the lily. These are the two predominant. So it's quite a fresh floral, but has this sweetness to it. There is also jasmine and gardenia, but mostly I get the freesia and the lily. My favorite one is Melipona. This is inspired by the bee or the insect that pollinates the vanilla pods. And it is this sweet, comforting vanilla in a way without being too sweet or too much. This is my favorite one, and I actually ordered a sample of it so I can test it and see if I want to add it to my collection. This is how much I like it. Last from their currently available fragrances is Supreme Nectar. And this is more of a gourmand take. So it is inspired by the bees that pollinates almond blossom. So it's an almondy fragrance. I also really enjoy this one. It's quite nice. Like the whole, let me tell you, the whole brand I love. I love the fragrances. There's nothing that I dislike. They have 2 new releases. One is an ambery fragrance, which is Ambre Cristal, which is a spicy, soft, woody fragrance. Very elegant and unisex. The one that I really loved is Sherana or Serrana. It's a floral, fruity fragrance with a nice mango note. It's not tropical, so I can't say that this is a strict tropical fragrance or a strict fruity fragrance. It is this like elegant mango floral sweet but not too much. The mango you mostly get in the opening, but then in the dry down, it's just an elegant, chic, fruity floral fragrance. And that is another fragrance that I definitely recommend for you to test once it is released. Speaking about mango, did I find my favorite mango? I think so. It's a new release. I believe it's not released yet, but it will be released very soon. And it is Golden Hour from the Gate. A juicy mango fragrance, a strict mango fragrance. So delicious, so good. Highly recommended for anyone who is looking for a good mango fragrance. From the fragrances that I've tested from the Gates, they have a lot actually. I also tested Sensual Dreams, which is a fruity tuberose fragrance. Fruity not in the sense that it is too sweet. It has this apple effect, like it has this crisp apple. I don't believe that there is apple in the notes. I believe it was apple blossom, if I'm not mistaken. It's this creamy tuberose with a sweetness, but also an edge. A beautiful tuberose fragrance. So beautiful. I get also a little bit of the ylang ylang, which gives this creaminess to it. So I also really loved this one from the Gate. Let's move to Italian brands because I feel like they need their own category here. Of course, it's in Milan, so it was not a surprise that the presence of Italian perfumery was very heavy at Exsence. Discovered so many. Some are not very well known and some are very hyped actually, but I never got the chance to test them, which is why also I really loved my experience at Exsence, because I didn't waste my money on buying samples just to try fragrances. As I could try 100 fragrances and decide which brand and which fragrances are for me in the future. So let's talk about the first brand, and it is In Astra, which is, as you can see from the name, inspired by galaxies, stars, etc. They currently have 5 fragrances and another one that is going to be released very soon. But let me first tell you about the one that I fell in love with, Vega. And this is just what I wanted the Lina and all these fragrances to be. So it's this sweet rose, but there is nothing sharp, there is nothing overly synthetic about it. It's just so beautifully feminine and rosy. There is raspberry and rose, and if I'm not mistaken, there is marshmallow. So it has a gourmand touch also. Beautiful vanilla. It's just everything that I wanted the Lina to be. I don't know why no one is talking about this fragrance. Because it is a stunning sweet rose scent. I absolutely love it. The new release is the total opposite. So Vega is flirtatious, is feminine, it's very fun, very girly. The new release, Vanant, is the total opposite. It's smoky, it's woody, it's very mature, very dark and deep. It has again a predominant rose scent, but also smoke, like a lot of smoke. It's very smoky, very woody, ambery, like yeah, two opposites. For a full introduction to this brand, check my Instagram again. By the way, I don't know if I have the time to upload everything this week on Instagram. I know also when I'm going to upload this one. So if it's not there, then stay tuned. It's going to be uploaded soon. Let's move on to what is, for me, the best discovery when it comes to Italian brands, and most probably the best discovery of my whole experience at Exsence when it comes to brands. And yes, that is how much I love this brand, and it is Les Folies de Parfum. This brand is inspired by an actual historic figure. I didn't know about her, by the way, before knowing this brand. That is Luisa Casati Stampa, an extremely diva-like, extravagant woman that lived at the beginning of the 20th century. And Every single perfume is an ode to something in her life, let's say. And when I say that this brand wowed me, I'm not exaggerating at all. The whole aesthetic of the brand, the fragrances are so extravagant and beautiful and amazing. I absolutely fell in love with this brand, 100%. I fell in love specifically with one fragrance, which is from their private collection, if I'm not mistaken, and it is Tigress. So this is inspired by the tiger. It's this extremely sophisticated, seductive, gourmand, ambery, sweet fragrance. It has a lot of notes that I love, so this is maybe why I am so attracted to that fragrance. So it has saffron, it has cinnamon, it has amber, it has vanilla, tonka bean, honey, a little bit of oud also. Like, it's so beautiful. That fragrance took my breath away. I loved it. It's definitely on my wish list. The whole brand, the whole fragrances is something that you would wear if you want to stand out. They have a lot of fragrances actually, and I tested most of them, let's say, and I didn't dislike any of them. Like, not all of them are for me personally, but like, I was shocked. I was shocked. Hands down, the best discovery I made at Exsence, Les Folies du Parfum. Another Italian brand is Cigno Nero, and they have the most beautiful bottles. Like, their bottles is just so unique and beautiful. All the fragrances are inspired by mythological characters, and also the packaging is quite unique because they come in almost like a sunglass packaging. It's very nice. Like, the packaging is 10 out of 10. The fragrances come in a 50 ml bottles, which I also appreciate a lot. Again, check my Instagram for like an introduction to that brand. I have actually a video of the co-founder of the brand talking about it and about all other fragrances. My favorite one is hands down Dolce Canto, which is inspired by the figure of the mermaid, and it's a very unique scent because it combines notes like driftwood, so it's kind of a marine woodiness with very feminine sweetness because there is a lot of blackcurrant, so it's quite heavy on the blackcurrant actually. I liked also the fresh one from the line, which is Blue Divino, I think it's called. Their new release is Estremo Incanto, and it is inspired by Medusa, which is a fruity ambery iris fragrance. So it's not my favorite because, as you all know, I don't like iris, but it is actually an iris that I can tolerate because it has a creaminess, sweetness to it, so there's no sharpness there. It's quite a unique scent. I've never ever smelled anything like it. So if you are looking for a sweet iris, you definitely have to check it. Check the brand in general. It's quite a unique brand, and I really enjoyed the fragrances. A brand that I knew about because it's not like not an unknown brand, but maybe it's not the most well-known brand outside of Italy. Like, it's not very hyped, let's say, is Coreterno. It's quite an artistic brand, but still not artistic in the sense that their fragrances are not wearable. But I mean, the whole presentation of the brand, the inspiration, everything is very artistic. I think it was created in 2019 or 2020, so not an extremely old brand. And they have 12 fragrances, if I'm not mistaken. I couldn't test all of them because there were a lot of people. So it's one of these brands that had a lot of attraction. Two stood out to me from the ones that I have tested, and it is Mystic Sugar, a very unique gourmand fragrance. Like, it has a lot of notes, like I can see them here. So you have tonka bean, you have vanilla, you have cocoa, almond blossom, pineapple, amber. There is a lot of notes, but really what comes through is the pineapple, the cocoa note, so it's a little bit chocolatey. It has a lot of vanilla, so quite gourmand, but wearable. It's not too sweet. Like, if I saw these notes, I would have said absolutely not, this fragrance is not for me, but it actually works here. I love this fragrance actually. It's a great gourmand, fruity, ambery fragrance. The new release is Hypnorange. I don't know if I should pronounce it in Italian or in which language, which has vanilla, it has tobacco, but this is not a sweet tobacco. It's quite a unique concoction of coconut, tobacco, and oranges. I smell more candied orange. It's more of this dried candied orange note with a hint of something that I would say is the tobacco, but honestly, it's not like I'm smelling tobacco here. It's again a quite a unique scent, and if you love the idea of a candied orange with a twist to it, then you would definitely like this one. In the dry down, however, it's not as sweet as in the opening. It's still a sweet fragrance, but I think it's more the ambergris that comes out in the dry down. Very unique scent. Again, the whole brand is quite unique, and I will definitely try to test all of the fragrances and maybe feature this brand in a buying guide or something on my channel. Let's talk about Sospiro. This is one of the brands that are very hyped, but I did test. Mainly because I went very early the last day and there were no one, so I could finally go because there was always a lot of people there, and I was so curious to test the fragrances that I always heard about. So Vibrato, Maraschino. So I tested these, and I also tested some of their new releases. So let me talk about it. Vibrato definitely deserves the hype as a great citrusy, fresh fragrance. It is an extremely strong citrusy. So don't think about natural citrus. It's more of this, I don't know how to explain it. It's not synthetic, but it's like a condensed citrus. It's a very heavy citrusy fragrance. Heavy in the sense that they are very concentrated. So I can imagine that it is one of the fragrances that are very long lasting. I didn't test it on skin, so I can't tell you. But I definitely got the hype with Vibrato. So one that I loved is Maraschino. Finally, a cherry fragrance that for me can compete with Lost Cherry and also with the Burning Cherry from Kayali. I loved it. Loved it. This is definitely a contender for these two. Again, didn't test it on skin. So again, one of the fragrances that I'm going to order a sample to test and see if it's something that I want to add to my collection or not. Let me talk about the new release, Il Padrino. It's a sweet tobacco with a boozy touch. It is beautiful. If you love sweet tobacco fragrances and you love the idea of having something like that with even like a boozy touch added to it, you will love that release. It is beautiful. I believe there is almost like a sweet plummy note in it. Definitely a release to look forward to, especially if you love that scent profile. And that was Sospiro. A very nice discovery from an Italian brand is the line I Matti. If you love true gourmands, like you'll want to smell edible, you have to check that line. I've tested two of them and I couldn't believe that no one is talking about this line, especially for those who love gourmands. Or maybe they are talking about it, but I didn't see anything. Tell me in the comments down below. So I tested Black Soul, which is an almondy cherry fragrance. This is from the Cherry Forward fragrances, the one with the most almond. I really loved it, but I didn't test it on skin. I didn't already, but I will see and check if they have a discovery site or something, so I can order it and test it on skin. But first impression, oh my god, is that a good fragrance? Like, I would say it's more almondy even than cherry. Again, I'm speaking about first impression. Now, if you want chocolate with like this Nutella like smell, look no further. Choco Tanka. Oh my god, is that a delicious chocolate fragrance? Like, I can't believe that no one is talking about this line. It's heaven for true gourmand lovers. And I can't even believe myself that I didn't return to the brand and test more of. Anyway, like there is a lot of brands, a lot of fragrances, so it's very overwhelming there, by the way. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on that brand also. Let's talk about the fragrance house that I wanted to test for the longest time. I actually bought a discovery set from the brand, so I can test all of the fragrances, and I will definitely do a video on that. But for now, I'm going to speak about 3 fragrances in particular. All of them are gourmands. So if you are a gourmand lover, this is definitely something for you. Like all 3 are great fragrances. But the one that I love the most is Peach Revenge. This is just, so good. This sweet, creamy, a little bit powdery peach fragrance. It's so beautiful. Something about it, it's very addictive. I would have never guessed that I would love this fragrance as much as I do. As you can see, I bought a bottle of it. That's how much I like it. It smells like the peaches that you get in the jar, like the conserved one. This is how this fragrance smells like, exactly, especially when you spray it in the opening. Then you will get a little bit of a powderiness. It's almost like marshmallow powder, you know? So it's not sugary, but it has a sweetness and has also like a whipped cream effect in it. I don't believe that there is whipped cream in the notes, but I personally get this peach compote with a little bit of whipped cream on top and like marshmallow powder. This is how this fragrance smells to me, and I absolutely love it. And it is a big hit, like it is the best seller of the brand. So if you love like this gourmand peachy fragrance, then definitely check this out. By the way, the note of the year, and mark my words, is peach. Peach is coming very strong in perfumery. It's not cherry, like there is a lot of cherry fragrances still on the market, so it's still hyped. But peach is coming. It's coming very strong. Now let's talk about Rococo Pie and Pastel Rumors. And I was actually debating if I should get Rococo Pie instead of Peach Revenge. But at the end, I decided to go with Peach Revenge just because it has more, like it's slightly fresher. Rococo Pie is just a little bit more gourmand. Like both are gourmand, true gourmand fragrances, but this is just a little bit more. It has a coconut note, which you can smell, but a good one. So if you are not a fan of coconut like I do, don't worry. It's really a great peach pie fragrance. It smells like peach pie to me. Pastel Rumors is more of a lactonic take on peach, still a little bit gourmand, but it has something that just doesn't work for me in the base. And it could be the milk note, because I struggle with milky fragrances in general that have a note of milk. It just turns weird and sometimes sour on my skin for some reason. So this is maybe why I am getting this weird smell on my skin. From the 3, this is the less sweet one. It smells like peach and milk and cereal. It's again very gourmand, but much toned down in comparison with the 2 that I've talked about. Also, the peach note here is not as strong, is not coming out as predominant as the other 2. But still a great fragrance. It just doesn't work for me personally. Definitely stay tuned for my video on Sarah Baker. Now let's get to a Turkish brand, and it is Mibizu. And they have the most fun packaging you can imagine. So the packaging is like a book. They are so colorful and fun, and actually I have to say I liked their fragrances, and shockingly the one that I really enjoyed is the most tropical one. So it's like a fruit bowl at the beach. It's so fun, so tropical, so uplifting. I can't tell you, and it is Passion Island. Oh my god, does that smell delicious. It's tropical heaven. If you love fruity tropical fragrances, you will love this one. I'm smelling a lot of mango. Passion fruit. Passion fruit is very predominant, and what I like about it, when it comes especially to pineapple passion fruit fragrances, they tend to have a harshness when it comes to other very popular perfumes, which I don't like. Like, by definition, fruity fragrances or this type of fragrances are synthetic by nature. So I'm not expecting something not synthetic. But I don't like the harsh edge that very popular tropical fruity fragrances have. This one doesn't have it. It is so delicious. If you love passion fruit, or you want the fruitiest tropical fragrance you can find, this is the one. The packaging is so beautiful. I loved it. I also really enjoyed a Wondrous Fight that is like this very refreshing summer fragrance. You all know I am a summer fresh girl, and it is like very strong and citrusy, not in like natural smelling. So don't think about my typical summer citrusy fragrances. It's more artificial, but in a good way. It's like Passion Island, but in a citrusy form, in my opinion. And I saw in Fragrantica that people compare it to Vibrato. I get it, but not really. It definitely has Vibrato vibes to it. I really enjoyed this brand. Again, this is one of the brands that I have an introduction on Instagram. Now let's move on to the beachy fragrance house. Like, the whole brand is inspired by a beach. I'm talking about Beso Beach perfumes. This is a Spanish brand, and it is inspired by Beso Beach, and it is the most beachy fragrance house I've smelled. Everything is very laid back, fun, summertime, like all the fragrances, even the darkest ones. I imagined them on a summer night somehow, and it is inspired by the beach and what people experience on them, their activities, everything. So the one that I bought is Beso de Sol, which is like the bottle. It's a very fun, it's like dancing in the sun during summer, like on a sunny beach. This is how this fragrance smells to me. It is an apricot osmanthus fragrance, but it's not your Gourmand creamy one. Like, it has a freshness because there is synthetic notes, like you can smell it, but it's not in a bad way. Like, this is for me summertime in a bottle. It's sunshine. It is just so fun and beautiful and uplifting and very represented by the bottle. Like, the fragrance smells like this color. I love it. Loved this one. I also loved a lot Beso Canalla, ambery summer fragrance, if that is even possible. Like, it has this spicy amberiness, but made in a way that makes it quite wearable during night. Like, this is a summer night fragrance for me, going out, having fun. Every single fragrance is definitely linked to the inspiration, which I also quite appreciate about the brand. Let's talk about a very underrated Spanish brand. I only know one content creator who spoke about that brand, and it is Chris from the Perfumes Nest. Since she spoke about that brand, I was very curious. So I was very happy to see that they were at Exsence, so I can test their fragrances. I love the bottles. The presentation of this brand is so beautiful. Like, I will leave pictures here. I also love the inspiration behind the brands. So it's not like travels or moments of the founder of the brand. It's more of special moments and special part of the life of the perfumers. So I really loved the idea behind the brand and the presentation, everything. And they were so nice. Like, let me tell you, not all of the stands were nice. Some were like, what are you doing here? Go away, like this vibe. Anyway, let's talk about the two that initially stood out to me. Like, I definitely want to test more of the brand. Unfortunately, there were more that I liked, but they didn't have the sample. Let's talk first about Sibilla, which is a citrusy fresh fragrance, but it has almost powdery cozy effect to it. Like this combination I've never smelled. Yeah, it's musky and fresh, almost cologne like, but mixed with something very warm and like fluffy in a way, so it makes it very cozy at the same time. So very unique summer fresh fragrance. The other one is like, as you can see, it's almost like I have a fresh option and then something dark and deep and ambery and spicy. The other one is Agra, and Agra stood out for me because I've never smelled or I never imagined this take on tuberose. So it's a tuberose fragrance, but quite spicy. A lot of ginger, a hint of cardamom, an extremely unique scent. It does remind me a little bit of another fragrance from an Italian brand that I talked about before in Astra, which is Anatras, I think is the name of the fragrance. So if you are looking for a new take on tuberose, something spicy, yeah, check Agra. It's quite a unique scent. Let's move to the different company, a French brand that I knew about. Like, it's not something that I didn't know about, and I believe I have some samples of them, but I never tested. And now I am beating myself for not testing this fragrance house before, because I loved a lot. Let's talk about the two that stood out for me from their current collection and their two new releases. The one that is the perfect bedtime scent is Pure Eve. It's this fluffy, sweet musk scent that is very like a cloud-like. It is like a hug. It's so beautiful. So I already placed an order for a sample to test it, and most probably it will be added to my wish list. It's such a beautiful, musky, soft fragrance. The opposite side, still a cozy fragrance, but we are talking about wintertime, sitting by the fireplace, like this kind of coziness. This is Magina Sin. Sorry for the pronunciation. This is chestnut, vanilla, cinnamon, sandalwood. It has a little bit of a gourmand touch. It's not like, when you see these notes, don't expect something that is very dense or sweet or heavy. No. It's a light, as I said, cozy scent. It's not a deep or very strong experience. It's a light one, but it is very well and balanced, and there is not a lot of chestnut fragrances on the market. So I'm so happy that I discovered this one. Let's briefly talk about the two new releases from the different company. So the first one is Love is Coming, and it's an aromatic floral. Not my cup of tea. But the other one is definitely right up my alley, and it is, oh my god, the name, Azhiardara. And it is a soft, woody, spicy fragrance. So here are the notes, so I can tell you. It has top notes of pink pepper, cardamom, and bergamot. Definitely the cardamom you get. A heart of cashmere wood, raspberry wood, and Madagascar vanilla. And in the base you have vetiver, ambergris, and sandalwood. It's sandalwood, ambergris, vanilla, like a hint of cardamom. I have nothing like it in my collection, and I can't wait for it to be released. I believe it will be released April or May. So definitely stay tuned for that fragrance. Let's move on to a very artistic brand, and it's from Saudi Arabia actually. So Badr Harqan is the fragrance house. Oh, the blotters are sticky. Sorry. All of their fragrances are extremely artistic. So don't think about commercial or even niche fragrances. This is a very artistic brand. Some of them are inspired by historical figures like Rasputin, like Bob Marley. And all of them have this note that represents the character very well, but also makes the fragrance more of an artistic creation. The one that I really liked It's not released yet. Now, I know when I'm going to upload this video, but by the time I am recording it, it's not released yet. And it is Agua. Agua is like dates in a nutshell. And it is a date-forward fragrance. It's quite sweet and dense and beautiful. I'm a fan of dates and fragrances, so if you love dates, this is like the most forward date fragrance you can imagine. A very, very beautiful agua or date fragrance. So that for me is definitely the winner when it comes to artistic brands. Now, the brand with the best inspiration is definitely Neido. I know how to pronounce the brand, so sorry. They are inspired by olfactive dreams, an extremely unique concept. So they actually draw inspiration from dreams of real people. Like the one that I loved is a blonde redhead, and it is the most feminine, I would say, from the fragrances, and it is a sweet, bright rose scent with a lot of vanilla. It has also dates, by the way. Not that I'm really smelling it, it's just sweet, almost candy-like, but in a good way. Like, you all know, I don't like very candy-like fragrances. I have exceptions, but usually it's not my scent profile. This one I really liked. Yeah, this sweet candied rose scent. Vanilla, rose, dates. I believe there is also saffron, if I'm not missing, but you can't smell it. Like, the final result of this fragrance is just this candy sweet pink fragrance. Really, really love this fragrance in particular, and love the idea and the inspiration behind this brand. Let's talk about Nisaba. Again, a brand that I really liked aesthetics, like what they are giving, because they invest into educating children where they get their ingredients from. And two fragrances really stood out for me. The first one is Tierra Maya, which is a cinnamon ambery fragrance. Very, very nice fragrance, actually. I love it. The star ingredient is Peru Balsam. And usually I am not the biggest fan of Peru Balsam, but just works here for some reason. It's a balsamic fragrance with a lot of cinnamon, a lot of cardamom, so it's spicy, resinous, very, very beautiful scent. As you all know, I love this DNA in fragrances. The other one is a tea scent, and it is Chaco. So this one is a mate, citrus, guaiac wood fragrance. Very fresh, very invigorating, very underrated in my opinion as a tea scent. It's very beautiful. Like, if you love this fresh tea scent, you will also love this one. Love the brand, by the way. Another brand that I really, really liked. I also finally tested Frasai, and they have a new release called Ajedrez, which translates to chess. So it's inspired by the moments of silence when the two players are playing chess. It's a very calming, relaxing lavender fragrance, but a little bit more masculine. The whole brand is very elegant. It's not playing by trends, which I really enjoy. I love it. I love it when brands do that. So I was also quite impressed with Frasai. I had also the chance to test Musicology, Reine de Saba, and also the new brand from Dominique Robion, Afroisms. He was actually there, and I was too shy to talk to him. I don't know. Anyway, there was even no one beside him, so I could approach him, but I didn't. I'm too shy. Anyway, definitely not doing that mistake again. And I loved his brand, actually. I liked their fragrances. They have this French chic vibe to them, which I really enjoy. I didn't test a lot of Mise en Cire, but they have like this same vibe. So if you like the vibe of Mise en Cire, you will love the vibe also of Dominique Robion fragrances. Also, Reine de Saba is the same. I also liked a lot of fragrances from Musicology, but unfortunately I have no samples of any of these fragrances. I did take notes so I can talk about them, but I think this video is going to be way too long. Oh my god, I wanted to talk about also my experience, and there is a lot of new releases and upcoming fragrances that I want to talk about, but I am already filming now for 2 hours and it's going to be too long, way too long. So I'm going to dedicate a video on that. So new releases, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Tell me in the comments down below, did you try any of the brands or fragrances that I've talked about? Looking forward to see your comments and see you in the upcoming video. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Ciao.